RMJ Movie Reviews back again with the Halloween horror movie reviews for man, the last bit of the month with debatable among people whether this is good or not. Grindhouse, the double feature from Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino, released by the Weinstein Company. Um, wow, from 2007. This picture here. Okay, digressing right even before I even do the great introduction, like I always do, guys. I was working at a movie theater in college in 2007, and this came out. As I recall, opening weekend, me and my buddy, who were both film students at the time, we just jumped right out and we saw it because we got it. We got it. We saw Snakes on a Plane, all them kind of movies. We get that. Okay. I remember it started fairly okay Friday weekend, and I remember I called one of my buddies in the box office and I said, "Well, how's Grindhouse doing?" And I remember it just never it did okay like Friday, I remember. And Saturday it kind of still was okay, but then by Sunday it just really, in the rest of the week, it just really quickly just faded. And I was in the theaters. We saw it opening night, and this is a. I've always had mixed feelings about Grindhouse. When I very first saw the film, there was many things about it that I liked, and I think pretty much the basic consensus of it, like everybody else's, there was maybe a little bit more that I didn't like about this double feature. But there was the amount that was good was actually great, but it was just the balance was off. There was too much of the bad. The bad in this case really overrode the greatness that's sprinkled throughout this double feature. Um, I grew up throughout the '80s, so I was not around or old enough when they did Grindhouse double features, but I was a product of the cable television, movie of the night era, which I think kind of replicated what was going on in Grindhouse theaters. So I do think in some essence I got pieces of that throughout my childhood. But and also too, I used to watch '70s movies on regular TV because throughout the '80s and the early '90s, you got to think that the '70s was only 10 years prior, a decade earlier. So they were still showing a lot of films from the '60s and '70s in the '80s and up into the early '90s. Not like now, you have to catch certain channels. But Robert Rodriguez's film, Planet Terror, which is a throwback to the Night of the Living Dead, that type of movie, Dawn of the Dead, post-apocalyptic, end of the world, blah 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 blah. And I love the. Here's all the strengths of the movie. Both features have B character actors. It's got a mixture of character actors and B movie actors, and Tom Savini, Michael Biehn, Jeff Fahey, the gentleman. Why am I forgetting his name? Freddie. I'm sorry, guys. Freddie Rodriguez, who's in Dead Presidents and a couple of other movies. Um, Rosario Dawson, Kurt Russell, Rose McGowan, who, I really hope she pulls through her troubles. She's a fantastic actress. It's sad to see kind of what she's gone through, but she's great. She's a great actress. I've always loved her as an actress. Fergie shows up. There's a lot of talent here. With Planet Terror, the main issue with the movie I had is I love how they kind of play with the film look to make it, to give it that old stock, with, as in Fight Club, the cigarette burns and the messed up film. That's great. The problem is with both of these movies, and I'm gonna kind of be jumping back and forth between the two. They're too long, and I understand the idea was to make two full double features. I get it. I get it. And I really believe they should have cheated. I think they should have cheated and skimmed the runtime down way shorter on both movies, because a big description that I've heard in this particular double feature is pretentious, self-indulgent. I would agree. I would agree. I think this was a case. I really love the idea, but I think this was a case where two artists got so caught up. I don't even. They weren't even caught up in their own hype because this movie was way after the '90s. But I think it was just a case where they got so caught up in their own creativity that I think they weren't able to be objective and realize that it was just a little. It was too much. Two movies were too much. I mean, with Planet Terror, I love the fact it's a throwback to those movies I mentioned, Night of the Living Dead. But the problem is, there's only so many heads that can explode. And look, all the special effects, all the action in it, it's great. Robert Rodriguez knows how to direct action. All the actors do their best to play to this B movie material. Everybody's good. Freddie Rodriguez plays the lone hero, and he kind of does the stereotypical shots and goes, "I'll be back to get you." You know, great. And it's all hammy, and it's done on purpose. It's playing to the cliches of the genre. It's great, but the movie is too long. I think it's only an hour and a half, but it feels like, I'm telling you guys, Planet Terror feels like Planet Terror and what the heck is the name of it? Death Proof. It feels like I'm watching Heat or Titanic. Like they really feel that long. And Planet Terror, like I said, there's only so many heads that can explode. There's only so many penises you can watch fall off, or eyeballs pop, or drool come out of people's mouth, and it's repetitive of the same gag. I think when you look back kind of on that exploitation era, and even you look at things from the '80s, some of those action films had the ability to repeat the same beats over and over again, but they managed to make each beat feel a little bit different from the other. So if you watch a film like Lethal Weapon from '87 or Lethal Weapon 2, even all the way up to 3, you can see how each movie there, of course, they're repeating the same beat, joke, action, drama, but they managed to either build on the sequences. You know what I mean? Start out small, action sequence, medium, big, and it would kind of go throughout that. But here with Planet Terror, all the gags feel here. They all feel exactly the same to me. Like they do not feel. I can't right off my hand differentiate each gory moment from the other. They all simultaneously feel the same. And even you could look at a film like the Blob remake from 1988, or The Fly, or The Thing, those two remakes from the 80s. There's specific gags in those movies that they feel different between them. I could go to Blob 88 and go, the kid gets killed in the sewer. The movie theater sequence. The guy gets pulled down the storm drain. The chick gets killed in the phone booth. Difference. Planet Terror. What can you say about Planet Terror? Maybe somebody can challenge me and say, okay, they get chopped up with the helicopter. But really, when you think about it, you cannot distinguish those action sequences. You can't. You cannot. Some of the actors have really great moments, but it's the fact that it goes on too long. And none of the gory, grotesque sequences, they blow their wad way too early. Because after you see Bruce Willis pop out and you see a pair of testicles, it just repeats that same gross gag. And I don't have a problem with gross out gags, but if that's all you have, or you at least don't build to something bigger, grosser gag, bigger action sequence, they blew their wad early. Something like with the testicles and the thing. I mean, they should have saved some of the grosser elements towards the end of the picture to send the audience out. And I'm telling you, this movie should have been 1 hour and 5. Max. 1 hour and 5. Or they should have just cheated and made it an hour. They should have just made it an hour. I mean, I really think the story of Planet Terror was already done. It was literally done after, I think, about the half-hour mark. And it's bloated. It's just so bloated. And it just goes on and on. And it's just like, it got to be painful. You know? And I remember, I feel about it the same way. I bought it anyway because, and I'll get to that. But I feel the same way I did at the time. Was I just kind of got to the point where, like, when is it going to end? I remember sitting in the theater when me and my friend Davey saw it, and I remember seeing people in front of me halfway through. You guys can tell when there's a popular movie and there's a bunch of people, but you can tell when the movie is where people are starting to turn on the movie. I started to see this in theater, and like this, you know, that's when you're done. You lose your when your audience does this, you've lost them. That happened to me when I saw that crappy movie with Gerard Butler, Geostorm. I hated that. I hated that movie so much I didn't even review it. I fell asleep on that piece of garbage. Um, Death Proof. Oh, my lord, my lord, my lord, my lord. And which I think between the two, Death Proof is a little bit better to me. Um, oh god, the issue with Death Proof is fascinating concept. You flipped the slasher movie, okay? So you got Kurt Russell, who's a retired stuntman, but he's a serial killer, but he uses his car to kill. He's a misogynistic, and again, playing to the convictions of the genre. There's a man who hates women, and they kind of explain it psycho-ish kind of psychiatrist thing where he maybe has some sort of sexual dysfunction, so he gets the thrill of the excitement from using the excitement of the thrill of using the car to kill the girls, and maybe that is mentally making him, come or whatever. It's pretty cool that and I like that. I love Kurt Russell is creepy. He's disgusting. He plays it and what I love is that how very calculated and maniacal and sinister he is, but it's under the surface. I mean, Kurt Russell is not playing it like, I'm going to kill you. He's not playing it like that. He's playing with that because Kurt Russell has that, even at him being an older age now, a senior citizen, Kurt Russell's a senior citizen, he has like a boyish charm to him. So Kurt Russell can really play just like, and the thing that makes it great is that he's an older man, but he's still playing that boyish charm, and he kind of goes, is it my scar? Nothing is so scary as a fletchingly blue-eyed beauty. Whatever the line is. He says something like that, but he says it charmingly with creepiness. It's a very calculated, fantastic performance, and he's great. And the first set of girls are really great. They take a lot of time to develop them, which the first half I was okay. All the stuff with the girls in the beginning in the car, cool. All the stuff with Kurt Russell, kind of Michael Myers just stalking him, cool. The stuff in the bar, cool. Quentin Tarantino popping up, self-indulgent cameo, whatever. It's fine. I love the way the film looks. It's great. I'm having a great time. And then after Kurt Russell kills Rose McGowan in the first set of girls, and then we're introduced to Rosario Dawson and Zoe. I can't remember her name. I'm sorry, guys. I think her name is Zoe Bell. Zoe Bell, and the second group of girls. The movie totally falls apart. It falls apart so quickly, and it's the fact that I don't like any of these girls. The only one I like is Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And the only reason I like her is because she talks the least out the four of them. These bras will not, shut the hell up. They talk so much, and their humor is so forced, but they will not for 1 second shut their mouth. Oh my God, I hated this. And then Tarantino tried to replicate the scene, the diner talking restaurant scene for Reservoir Dogs. It is excruciatingly awful. It is so awful. And it's not played well. And all the actresses are good, but this is a case where it's just bad. It's bad. One of my buddies who gets Grindhouse 2 saw it at the time, and he said, man, these guys are getting, his words, not mine, these guys are getting paid millions to make bad movies. I agree partially with him, but, this is a Grindhouse movie, but it's so painful. And I remember one of my managers at the theater at the time, she was just like, she had to screen it because, you got to screen the movies. And she was just like, oh my God. She was like, the part where they were talking, she was like, her exact words were, I was sitting there thinking, okay, we get it. Can we move on now? and it just, that part of the movie just, I literally, I tried, y'all, because before I do movie reviews, I like to just sit and watch the movie. I cheated, y'all. I had to fast forward that part. I had to. I could not take it. It was torture, man. And then once Kurt Russell comes out and there's a nice little car chase, that's all fun, but I never particularly got the idea of he's this masculine killer, then he turns into a wimp. I just didn't, I didn't think it was funny. I didn't think it was clever. I just, it was so incredibly lame to me. And Quentin Tarantino, he can be shocking and everything, but he rarely is he ever lame. But that was a moment where I just was like, after the bar scene and Rosario Dawson and their group comes in, before the car chase happens, it's dead air to me. And pretty much the second the car chase ends, where Kurt Russell does his great Kurt Russell laugh, you know, after the Kurt Russell laugh, the movie just died. It was just, Death Proof was so disappointingly, it was heartbreaking because it started good, and I wish it would have went somewhere, but it goes nowhere. You know, it is pretentious. It's extremely pretentious, and so is Planet Terror. The best soul saving grace of Grindhouse is the fake trailers, and I will say my favorite. I love them all. Rob Zombie's was it Nazi werewolf women of the SIS or something like that, and a cameo from Nicolas Cage is really cool. It's a lark. It's got all the Rob Zombie alumni as usual. Fun to watch. I love that one. I love Don't was great to see Stuart Wilson, the villain from No Escape, with Ray Liotta, and Lethal Weapon 3 and The Mask of Zorro, and many other fantastic performances. Stuart Wilson is a very underrated bad guy actor, but he shows up there, and I can't remember the other guy who's the bad guy in The Patriot with Mel Gibson. He's in there. Great. It's a great trailer. And of course, Machete. I love the Machete trailer. I think in this case it shouldn't have been turned into a film or a sequel. The first film I thought was okay. The sequel was dreadful. It was dreadful, and not in a fun way. It was just, but it shouldn't have been turned into a feature. But nice experiment. The Thanksgiving. I can honestly say right now, Thanksgiving is the Eli Roth best work. I love that trailer. That trailer, and I'm a fan of 80s slasher genres. I don't care about all this crap I hear now when people disrespect the 80s and go, the 80s was so crap. It was just all about making money in the blockbuster movie. All the slasher movies are stupid. Well, no crap, they're stupid, guys. It's a killer walking around stalking naked teenagers, and he kills them. That's irrelevant that it's stupid. It's fun. It's fun to watch. That's the point. Pull your head out your backside and have a great time. But that's Eli Roth. I love that trailer. That trailer so harkens back to little movie previews I would see on VHS tapes, or previews that I would see for films on the 8 o'clock movie during the 80s. It was so slashery. I love that Thanksgiving trailer. That's the one trailer that I'm kind of tempted to kind of see how it would turn out. But you know something? I think it's just a case of where little is more. And that's the problem with Grindhouse, is that it shows that more does not equal better. The prime example here is that less would have been more, but but that Thanksgiving trailer just won me over. I think it's great. It hits every slasher convention of the day. Just the fact that there has never been a movie about Thanksgiving. I don't think I don't know how it would turn out, but I can't think of Thanksgiving apple pie and macaroni and cheese, and then thinking about a hit. I mean, the thing with the mom's the grandmother's body turned into a turkey, and then he's screwing the turkey. It's so sick, and I love I love the chick with the great backside who's bouncing on the trampoline and the razor blade comes up through. It just hits every beat of an '80s slasher movie, particularly the early '80s ones. I love that trailer. I just think it's absolutely fantastic. It's great, and I will say those fake trailers ultimately are what Kurt Russell, some of the stuff Michael Biehn and Jeff Fahey did in Planet Terror, and those fake trailers ultimately is how I kind of slightly give Grindhouse a pass. But overall, is it something that I could sit and watch, even individually? I can't individually watch either movie all the way through. I pretty much have to skim through it to the good parts. Death Proof is pretty much everything with Kurt Russell and Rose McGowan and the first set of girls. That's all great. But it's a mixed bag, man. I know at the time it was very disappointing to all of us, and I know it was disappointing to Tarantino, Rodriguez, and the Weinstein, because they thought this was a pretty fairly big budget movie, and it wasn't Transformers, which came out I believe that summer, but it still was it was still a pretty. I think this was like a $50 million movie. That's a lot of money. So it was just disappointing to everybody, and it was just self-indulgent and pretentious. And I think those fake trailers are and the performance from Kurt Russell saved this thing. So that's my opinion on Grindhouse. I went on a little bit too long, but thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video. Don't forget to hit the little bell. Leave comments down below about Grindhouse, how you guys feel about it. I'm a film fanatic, so I bought it anyway. I actually found this online for $4, pristine copy. So they delivered it to the house, I think, for like $6. So I don't know. I'll be back, guys, with 2 more movies, and that'll be the month of October, and it'll be back to business as usual. RMJ Movie Reviews. I'll see you soon.